One of the things that I appreciate about being a brewer is the turnaround on my product. The capacity for iteration is much shorter.
Oh,
Worst
yes.
case scenario, worst case scenario, I'm brewing a lager, which will require X number of weeks cold per post fermentation. But in a lot of cases, people are turning their ales and getting those beers grained to glass in a production setting. And sometimes, 2.5 weeks, sometimes shorter, you
Sure.
know? And the nice thing about that is that you can iterate, and I always say you can get reps, right? You can get reps on a concept. How does that play out with mead? Is the ability to rep the same as it is on the beer side?
No, no, it's not. But one of the things I want to comment on for the brewing side, the beer side of that, is the magnificent thing about doing clean fermentations and having your stuff on tap, being able to get it on a handle in 2.5 weeks is it's going to keep getting better for probably 3 or 4 weeks in the keg. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's a magnificent thing. If you've got a product that's coming off the coming out of the bright tank and is just like rocking at 2.5 weeks, and you put it on and your team and your customers start raving about it, it's it's going to be better when they come in for that third visit than it is
Sure,
right now. So that's
sure.
that's a great thing. But no, iteration in mead takes a long time. I mean, there are meads that we make that don't even hit the bottle for 15, 18 months.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes it tough. And wine's got that same problem, right? I mean, you get one
Mm-hmm.
crop of grapes a year. That's what you get. You want to experiment? Well, you're going to experiment over the course of years, not over the course of weeks or months or, you know, 10 batches in a year. No, you're going to get
Mm-hmm.
one batch a year, and then you're going to wait another year. We can make more than that if we're using frozen fruit, and we use frozen fruit on some of our, a lot of our meats.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean that you're going to get to the knowledge that you have from what this meat is going to be like when it starts to peak, if it's not going to start to peak for 10 months.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have to wait to find out the things that you're going to find out for a while. If it doesn't get in the bottle for 18 months, well, and then still continue to improve and evolve over the
Mm-hmm.
course of the next 4 or 5 years. Yeah, the learning is long. And I mean, mead and fruit growing are things that are really dependent on a determined individual and a lot of patience.
Mm-hmm. Determined. Why don't you talk to me about determined? Why did you use the word determination there?
Well, you've got to stick to that mind's tongue image, and you do have to be determined if you're going to pilot a batch. Well, like this is a statement, for example, which is our Balaton cherry mead. I mean, it takes a lot of determination. It took a lot of determination to figure out how that mead was going to get to a commercial recipe. We started off by, and this was back when I was making mead with Dan McConnell, who was the guy who was part of that first, and speaking of iterations and determination, that first mead matrix back in 1993 and 94, where we made the 12 different meads with 6 of them from one yeast and the other 6 from the same honey and different yeasts.
Mm-hmm.
Six different honeys, same yeast, 6 different yeasts, same honey.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a determined thing. But Dan and I, in that same vein, we went out to the Michigan Agricultural Experiment Station in Michigan, in I think it's Fredericksburg, along I-96. And Amy Iazzoni, this wonderful woman who was doing cherry experimentation, and Michigan has the best cherry experimentation program in the country because we have the most sour cherries in the country. I mean, sour cherries, not sweets, but sours. And she let us pick 9 different varieties of cherries, and we made them all into mead to see which ones were going to make the best mead. And out of that crew, Balaton came out on top. I also managed to come by some Charbakes, which are from Belgium, and they were even better than the Balatons. But getting to the so we started, and I couldn't get as many Balatons. Still can't buy them commercially. I have to grow those myself. But when we figured out Balaton was going to work, then it took me. Now I'm piloting by myself, trying to get ready for the opening of a meadery in however many years. And I made probably 15 different batches of Balaton. And then I went ahead and just to make sure I was not losing my mind, I did Balatons and Montmorencys, depending on whose pronunciation you want to believe.
Sure.
I made batches with those cherries and settled again on Balaton, and then had to work on, okay, well, how much fruit do I want? How much honey do I want? How much sweetness do I need? What yeast works the best? And I think I probably made 25 or 30 different batches before we ended up with the recipe that we have right now. Not determination, getting all the way around to where we started. Yeah, that takes determination. You have to keep that end goal. Keep your eyes on the prize.
Sure.
You have to have that willingness to learn. That's willingness to learn. It's understanding that you're not as smart when you start as you hopefully can be when you get done with this whole situation.